The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning for those in Europe. Good afternoon for those in China. This is Martina Gerst, working in the Standards and Conformity team at the EU SME Center located in Beijing, and Jordi Baquet, today joining us from Spain. You have joined the EU SME Center's webinar series, How To, and today it's How to Export Meat Products to China. We would like first to make sure that you can understand us, and I would kindly ask you to click on the button with the hand to see if everything is working. As you can see on the screen now, Jordi and me, we both will speak. The audience is muted, and we would like you to submit your questions in the box you can see and then send it over to us. The webinar is scheduled for about an hour, and as we might not be able to answer all your questions during the webinar, we will email you the answers if you have registered your company on our website, where you also can place further inquiries through the website via the Ask the Expert button. The EU SME Center is funded by the European Union, and we are assisting European SMEs to enter the Chinese market. We offer free first line of advice services such as consultations, Ask the Expert, including webinars like the one of today, where we learn from our expert Jordi based in Spain how to export meat products to China. Jordi is director of the International Department of the Girona Chamber of Commerce. Since a long time, he provides services for exporters such as market research or training. He is a member of the EU Experts Network of Understanding China program, currently implementing an Agro-Food China meeting point to develop the internationalization of Girona's agro-food sector in China. So I will now hand over the floor to Jordi. Jordi, can you understand me?
Yes, I understand you perfectly.
Okay.
Thank you, Martina, thanks to the USB Center team, and thanks to you all attending this webinar. Just a few words before starting the presentation. As Martina said, this presentation is a series of documents published by the USB Center on the food sector. So I recommend you to go through the website and to check some of the documents already published, webinars, reports and guidelines on topics such as labeling, packaging, or getting through customs, because I'm sure they will help you to understand what we will develop today. The presentation today, the topics we'll discuss are these four first topics. The first one is a quick overview on the Chinese meat market. We go then to the core of this presentation, which is the regulatory framework. We'll talk mainly about protocols and establishment registration. We'll go then to import procedures. We'll finish with some challenges and final recommendations. Points 5 and 6 are just, in case of point 5 is some bibliography on laws, standards, and some useful resources that can help you to complete the information given today. And finally, point 6, you will find some more detailed information that will complete the one given in points from 1 to 4. We'll start now remembering the products that are included in this presentation. I'm sure you're familiar with the harmonized system code. You will see there are two main categories of products included here. One are those under headings O2 or 02, which refer to meat raw meat and offal of all kind of animals. And you have as well headings 1601 and 1602, which refer to processed meat products, such as sausages or cooked ham, for instance. Before going to the first topic of our presentation today, I think Martina has some question he would like you to answer. I'm not, Martina, are you there?
Yeah,
okay.
I hear you. Okay, to make the webinar more lively, we have included 3 poll questions. So in the first one, we would like to know from you what kind of meat products do you intend to export to China, and I will launch this now, where you can just click on what pork or poultry, lamb, beef or meat processed products you would like to intend to export to China. Okay, it's still ongoing. Okay, I would say I will close the poll now. And Jordi, we have basically the majority of the people who listen today. They would like to export pork meat to China, 45, which you can see the first
Okay.
one,
Yes,
followed
yes.
by 40% meat processed products. Maybe you can give us a bit more introduction of the market in China.
Perfect. Well, this coincides with the main sector exporting meat products to China, which is the pork meat sector. Let's go then a quick look on the market overview. I won't bother you with much figures, just a few ideas of how is the market conducting currently. First of all, we all know that in spite of any difficulties for foreign exporters, China is indeed, and it's not a cliche, a big market, a huge market. These 4.2 billion US dollars exported last year, I think, is a good argument for those wishing to export products to China. The fact is that there are many countries competing in the Chinese market. As you see in the second point, the main suppliers are NAFTA countries, and basically the United States is the first supplier for meat products with near 39%, and is followed by European Union countries, Mercosur means Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and finally Australia and New Zealand. You are asking what kind of products China is importing. It's clear that, as you see here, more than 99% of all goods imported by China correspond to meat, raw meat, and offal of all kinds of animals, while only less than 0.5% of the imports correspond to meat preparations. In the case of the European Union exports, we see that the averages are more or less the same, but there's a main difference here, is that for raw meat is only the pork meat which is represented almost with almost 50% of all exports. Why? Because as you know, most of the protocols European countries have signed with China are related to the pork meat sector. Only 2 countries so far, France and Poland, have signed agreements for poultry products, and currently two more countries, United Kingdom and Ireland, are trying to reach an agreement on beef meat. So if you see next slide, the picture shows us that there is a competition between Europe and basically United States for the pork meat sector, while Mercosur and Oceania countries are competing more for lamb and beef. Poultry is basically exported by Brazil. If we are talking about consumer preferences in China, as it's quite known, pork meat is as well the first in terms of countries intake, with near 64% of all meat consumed in China, and it's followed by poultry, beef, and lamb. And finally, as pork meat is the main sector for our exporters, just to say that China is the world's largest producer of pork meat, with almost 52 million tons in 2012. You will see further information and more detailed graphics on this topic in Annex 1 of this presentation. After knowing some of the figures concerning the meat import market in China, let's go to the regulatory framework. The legal reference for meat import and processing in China is the Food Safety Law of the People's Republic of China, which was adopted on June 1, 2009. The law has more than 100 articles. We won't go through them today. We'll just refer to those who are related more directly to meat processing and meat imports. You see that standards is a basic condition for implementing a food safety system in any country. The standardization system in China is quite complicated, and there is a specific guidelines for this topic you can check in the website. But just to say that in our presentation, in our annex, we included the basic standards affecting food imports. You will recognize that there are two kinds of standards. In fact, there are 4 levels of standards in China: national, professional, local, and company levels. We only refer in our presentation to those who are national standards. You will identify them by GB for national compulsory standards and GBT for national voluntary standards. Well, now, if you want to get ready for export to China, there are some key points you must know. First of all, everything starts with the protocols. What is a protocol? It's basically an agreement between China and any exporting country that sets up the kind of products the country is allowed to export to China, and it sets up as well veterinary and health requirements for meat products to be exported to China. After the protocols, another key element you must know is registration. There is a basic condition for any food facility wishing to export to China. It should be registered by ACSIC. ACSIC is the General Administration of Quality, Supervision, Inspection and Quarantine. And there is a specific body called CNCA, which is responsible for inspecting on the spot foreign facilities and giving them the final approval. Another of the key points, apart from registering the foreign facility,
Jordi? Hello? Can you understand me? I'm sorry, I think we have lost our panelist in Spain. Just hold on a second. I cannot understand him anymore. I think we have a problem with the internet connection now. Maybe I can take over the slides now till Jordi has gained again access. So some of the food law safety key points for meat products imported into China are, for example, the registration. So exporters, importers or agents involved in food export and import shall be put on the records at AQSIQ. Another important point Jordi would have referred to is that the import of meat has designated points. So this means concretely that meat products shall enter into China only through AQSIQ designated CIQ offices, conveniently equipped to examine, inspect and quarantine the products. The inspection and quarantine is about that AQSIQ offices are responsible basically for inspection and quarantine of all imported meat, and they basically make sure that the meat you export to China is compliant with the mandatory standards Jordi has referred to, and customs will release the imports only after a proper clearance certificate is issued by AQSIQ. As for the records, food importers shall maintain entry and distribution records of meat products for at least 2 years. Sorry, I just forgot to move the slides. As Jordi already mentioned, it depends on the protocols which food import into China is allowed. So it depends on how your country, for example, has signed a protocol with China. It also depends on that the firm is eligible, which means that the establishment has been registered at the official offices. Just hold on a second. I'm back in a minute. So we are still waiting for Jordi because we have lost the connection. So hopefully he will be on the screen soon. It looks like that hopefully he can get on because he can do this presentation much better than I do.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. So Jordi, just to let you know, I have moved a little bit, that we not lose attendees. Probably I will hand over to you.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, you hear me, and I have given you back the slides.
Okay.
So you probably can just move a bit backwards.
Okay. So let's. We're talking. Sorry for.
I have started to talk about the eligibility, but I think you probably would like to talk a bit about slide 11 or slide 12. I think this is where we lost you.
Okay. Just to finish with these key points we're talking about. We're saying that as it happens in Europe and most of the countries. meat products shall enter into China only through designated CIQ, that is the ACSIC Administration for Inspection and Quarantine. There is a network of about 44 ports, authorized ports, with about 35 CIQ officers, with a network as well of 200 branches. These CIQ officers are responsible for inspection and quarantine of all imported meat to make sure it's compliant with the standards and with the protocol signed between the country and China. It's important to say that customs will release the product only after receiving a certificate of inspection and quarantine delivered by ACSIC officers. So this is a basic requirement for any food entering the country. And finally, as a way of keeping importers concerned about food safety issues, all import operations should be kept for at least 2 years. We're just on this slide. This is probably the core of the information we want to transmit today, the concept of eligibility. The idea is no use trying to get your establishment approved unless your country has been previously been approved for exporting the kind of products you want to export to China. So the process starts when your country contacts with a Chinese authorities in order to set up a protocol which will allow a certain range of products to be exported to China. Once your country has been made eligible for exporting those products, you can, at your turn, start applying for your establishment registration. So it's important to say that if the country is eligible, it doesn't mean that all companies established in that country are eligible automatically. There should be an establishment registration procedure this company should go through. As a way to visualize what's the current status of the European exporting countries concerning protocols, we have made this. We have make use of Google appliances. We have made use of Google appliances for this with this map. In this map, you will see the current status of exporting countries concerning protocols. You will see that in some cases there is a green spot. Okay, this is now the slide. Sorry, there is a big gap between China and Girona. Thanks for your understanding. So this green spot refers to countries which have approved protocols and that have as well establishment approved for exporting to China. Another category of countries are those on the with yellow spots. It means countries that have signed protocols but no company has been registered yet. And finally, you have these pink, purple spots referring to countries which have just started negotiations for their first protocols. If you click on the map, you will, for each of these single countries, you will have more detailed information on the kind of products the country is allowed to export, as well as the number of establishments registered so far. So how does a protocol is negotiated? Well, the idea is quite simple. As we said before, a protocol means the sanitary and health management system of any specific country is approved by Chinese authorities. And this approval is in fact transferring responsibility on supervising and inspecting living products, living meat, and this responsibility is transferred to veterinarian officials from the exporting country. So the idea is China and the exporting country start negotiations at ministry level. They will, the exporting country will submit very detailed information concerning laws, regulations, structures, veterinary health services, quality management, control system, etc. This will be sent to ACSIC, and the Chinese authorities will initially carry out the analysis and risk evaluation of all documents submitted. And in case they find it acceptable, a delegation of experts will be sent to the exporting country in order to complete the investigation, the checking of these procedures. When this delegation considers that the system is working properly, then both countries start a bilateral, let's say, expert delegation or commission to negotiate and to set up the protocol which will define the range of products included in this agreement, the health and sanitary requirements for all meat to be exported, and finally the specific form of the export health certificate. All protocols have almost a standard content. If you can have a look at the example we have put in Annex 2. In this case, it's a protocol signed between United Kingdom and China concerning pork meat products. The idea is, apart from giving full information about the health and sanitary management system of the exporting country, of course, it's important the country confirms that there is no disease affecting the products intended to be exported. Another key point is to ensure traceability. It means all the animals have been bred in the exporting country, and all manipulation has been done within registered facilities. We'll talk later and just now about registration of export facilities, and there will be very detailed information about the functions to be carried out by veterinarians in the exporting country. They will deliver the export health certificate and the oval mark that will be stamped on all labelings and packaging of any shipment. As we said, and I don't want to insist, but the idea is when a protocol is signed, veterinarians from the exporting country are assuming responsibility of all meat live in that country in order to make it compliant with food safety requirements. In the protocol as well, you will see that there is specific information about the characteristics of the facilities processing meat products, the idea of separate rooms, avoiding cross-contamination, exclusive storage areas, so detailed information on the facilities. And there will be some additional information on packaging, labeling and marks that you will find in Annex 4, transport, storage and manipulation condition, basically storage temperature, and of course the specific export health certificate that should accompany each container. And finally, it's an obvious thing is that if there is any disease spreading in the exporting country, all exports should be stopped immediately, and a bilateral commission will be set up to negotiate or to make the follow-up in case of the incident is solved. The exports can be resumed. Now, I think there is a second part. Martina, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, after Jordi has introduced some of the regulatory framework, we have a second poll question for you. I will now launch. Basically, considering who should I contact if I want to start registering my company to be eligible for export to China. So I have launched it. It is open now. So what do you think? The votes are coming in. Okay, I would say a couple of more seconds and then we see it's developing. Okay, so I would close it then though, Paul, and share the results with you. So as you may see, 42% basically have voted for AQSIQ, followed by 36% saying that I should contact the local food safety agency or the Ministry of Agriculture. So, Georgie, any suggestions or any recommendations on this?
Well, as we will see just now, the correct answer is number 4. All the process and procedures should be initiated through my local food safety agency. The idea is, since a protocol is established, then all responsibility on the initial process of registering firms should be transmitted to the health authorities. We'll see now in the next slide. I hope this works now. Is it possible that the
the slide, we can see the slide actually. What is, okay, wait.
Okay.
Now, can you see your establishment registration slide again?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It takes a bit from time. China.
Yeah, China to Iran, of course. Okay, so let's talk about establishment registration. So until now, we have so far the country has been made eligible for exporting to China. So this is the first step. Now we are going to the second step. If any particular company wants to export to China, and according to the protocol signed by this country, he can start doing the registration procedures by going to his own health safety authorities. There is a template you can just check by clicking on this address. It's a very detailed template containing more 11 pages that will ask you a full information of your establishment, location, water supply, manpower, all the processes for health and sanitary management, especially the flow charts for the process flow diagram of your company. So all this information as a proof that your company manages safety and health requirements in a proper way will be initially sent to your own health authorities. Your authorities will do just a documentary check, because since you are already established as a registered company in your country, there is no need for inspection from your own authorities. Then all these documents will be sent to CNCI in China. CNCI will do a checking of all documents to be to see if they comply with food safety requirements in China, and they will decide whether your facilities will be inspected on the spot. So it means a delegation of experts from China will come to you and will do 1-2 days inspection on your facilities. So China will inform the health authorities of the exporting country about the delegation and to coordinate the visit. And after you have been visited by the experts, then the experts will go back to China, they will meet again, and they will decide whether your facilities are approved. In case they are approved, you will be assigned a CNCA registration number that will allow you to export to China. In case there is some non-conformity, then you will have to go through a second inspection, a re-inspection after doing the necessary corrections. Of course, it will delay times of getting your establishment approved. A basic idea about establishment registration is that we are always talking about establishment. That could create some confusion. I'm sure you are familiar with the word establishment. It's a basic difference between establishment and company or firm. Company or firm refer to a legal term, while establishment refers to a physical place where meat processing is done. I mean, establishment refer to slaughterhouses, cutting plants, cold stores, meat processing plants. It can be that one firm or company has more than one facility, so the company should go through a registration for each single facility that are in the process or meat process. As a general rule, establishment approval is valid for 4 years, but China's officials in this case proved to be flexible. If your company has implemented a consistent and steady sanitary and health management system, you will probably, or the Chinese authorities will probably behave with more flexibility, and you will be allowed or the inspection will be not as strict as for this 4 years time. It can occur as well that after being approved for a certain range of products, you can enlarge the products you want to export to China. For instance, it's the case for trotters or pig's feet. If you have initial approval for a certain category of products, and then you will incorporate trotters to your offer, then you will have to go through a second inspection for this particular product. And probably this second inspection, as it happens for many companies, can be considered as a temporary renewal of your initial approval, and probably the second reinspection will be will be delayed for a few times. So we have seen until now the process of getting a country eligible for exporting to China. Now the procedures for your company being able to export to China. Now you are ready for doing the first shipment to China. You must make sure that apart of having your establishment approved, as we have just said before, in case you want to export directly to China, I mean, if you are a producer and you want to be exporter as well, you will need this second register with a filing management system, as we said in the topic 1. That means that you can go online and register your company. In other cases, if the approved facilities don't intend to export directly to China, this register applies only for the agent or the company doing the export. As for the importer, we'll see that I would say that I wouldn't worry much about all requirements and licenses to be authorized to do imports in China. The main aim for any company wishing to export to China is to find the right partner. I mean, to find a good importer with, of course, has all licenses and requirements fulfilled, but at the same time has a good connection with the government. So just as a matter of information, you have here all the steps for any company wishing to import products meat products in China. You should go through a business registration as any legal entity, then to import and export business license, a license allowing you to import-export. You have to be registered with the Customs Administration in order to be able to do customs clearance. With the register, you have to be registered with ACSIC for this online system, the filing management system. And finally, there is, in some cases, an automatic import license. This is more for statistical purposes, and is only for a certain category of products. Before going to the next slide, I think there's a third poll Martina wants to ask you. Martina, you?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay.
So after Jordi has introduced some of the context of the import procedures, we would like to launch our third question, which is about are all meat products entering China subject to CIQ inspection and quarantine formalities? So you can vote now. It looks like people have listened carefully to you, Jordi. Okay, I would say most the people have voted. I would close now and share the results with you.
Yes, of course.
So, yeah.
This is the right answer. The only difference is in some cases, if there is any disease spreading in the country of origin, inspection and supervision can be more tough than in other cases. But as a basic idea, in all cases, meat should be submitted to inspection and quarantine. I'm trying to go to the next slide. Each time there is a poll introduced, and I have some problems to go back to the
I have
slides.
already switched. Now it's back.
Okay. Just the time it takes to... Okay, perfect. So once you have your submission has been approved, the country is eligible, then you are prepared for the next shipment. What documents you need? Of course, you're familiar with commercial documents for export. The first thing is you probably have a trade contract with your importer in which you define or precise the volume of exports. You will agree with him. And then for each shipment you will need an invoice, packing list, a bill of lading, certificate of origin you will obtain with your Chamber of Commerce. Apart from that, of course, there's a health certificate that will be according to the protocols. And we added this pre-notification. In fact, this is a requirement, or this is a requirement by ACSIC. I mean, the health export authorities of your country will have to send electronic notification of the particular shipment you are doing at this time with all the data concerning that shipment in order ACSIC to be able to proceed to inspection and quarantine. So in this next slide, we try to summarize all the information concerning import procedures and going through customs. First of all, you are here, top on the left, you are the exporter, you have been already registered, you have all registration, you've been registered as establishment, either as an agent or exporter. You have produced trade contract, invoice, bill of lading, packing list, certificate of origin, an export health certificate. Then it's convenient you to send all these documents to your importer who has been already registered according to the formalities given in the previous slide, in order him to have time to complete the meat quarantine import permit. The import license is for a certain amount of product, so it's a credit he has to cancel each time there is a shipment. And the importer should apply as well for inspection of quarantine of this particular shipment. So at the moment the shipment arrives in China, ACSIC will have received a pre-notification from the Food Safety Authority of your country of origin, the application for inspection and quarantine, and of course all data concerning the shipment will be already recorded on ACSIC's facilities. The meat will be deposited in a designated warehouse. You have a list of authorized warehouses in annex in the guidelines that is complementing this presentation. And ACSIC will proceed to inspection and quarantine. it can be that the product is compliant with all food safety requirements, then it would deliver a quarantine certificate for inbound commodities that will allow you or your importer to go through customs for clearance after paying duties and taxes. And finally, the product can be delivered to the market. In some cases, if there is some non-compliance with your product, if ACSIC finds any non-compliance, then there are two possibilities. One, if there is a minor non-compliance, it means some referring to a technical formality, then you can go through a correction on the ACSIC supervision and try to re-enter your product through the green channel. But if there is a major non-compliance, and major non-compliances are those affecting personal safety, health, or environmental protection, then the product is likely to be destroyed or returned to your country. After this, we'll go to a final topic, which is, just to remind you, inspection and quarantine results. As we said before, these are the two possibilities in case of the products are compliant. You get the inspection certificate. In case it's not non-compliant, these are the two options. We go now to the fourth topic here, which is the some challenges and final recommendations. You see that this is an idea I'd like to transmit to you, the idea of China building a global meat sourcing strategy. You are competing not only with foreign countries, but there's a competition among European countries for export to China. The fact is that China, well, first of all, meat is the first source of proteins for Chinese people, and you know that population in China is about 1.4 billion people. So government, who's the main actor in the economy, wants to make sure that offer and demands match in order to have a correct supply of meat in China. To do so, the strategy, or the government strategy, I think we can say it's based in three pillars. The first one is try to develop a modern food industry, a modern meat industry in this case. In China you have near 280 million farms, which are scattered small units, low technology and low concern and about quality and safety. So it's even if, for instance, for the pork meat, more than 97% of consumed meat in China comes from local producers. The government tries to search for alternatives. One of the alternatives is to do these selective imports through and these instruments, protocols, and registration, establishment registration processes that are quite useful for this purpose. A third step or third pillar of this strategy is foreign direct investment in top companies. This year it was, for instance, the case of Shuanghui International, who took over U.S. Smithfield, one of the giants of the pork meat industry with branches all over the world. This is a way for China to make sure they can monitor producing from the sourcing countries. Competition, as I said before, is not only between European countries, but in the case of the United States, there is an advantage for the American firms because they are exempt for plant-by-plant registration. This is due to an agreement, an old agreement between China and the States, by which any facility already registered in the United States is allowed to go to exports without any formal requirement. A permanent complaint, exporters are permanently complaining about administrative overlapping and scattering of responsibilities among different governments. This applies for the central government. I remember a week ago I read the news about a senior official of the Food Safety Authority complaining that news about food safety he received or he learned was about with the medias or learned through the medias, instead of learning it through the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Commerce, which were responsible for those laws. This applies as well for the provincial governments. You know that China has a structure with very strong provincial governments having their own economic and commercial strategy for developing its own territory, and sometimes priorities are not the same, are not shared between central and provincial governments. Another key point here is exporters complain about inspection criteria and verification procedures. They say that it's not transparent, that sometimes there's some arbitrary discrimination. You must understand, and this is the second thing, interesting idea, is that, as we say in our guidelines, the food security system in China is a fragile one. It's permanently on the edge. If you read the newspapers, you will probably learn about permanent incidents or frequent incidents concerning food safety in China. The idea is that any food safety system to work properly requires the commitment of all agencies involved in the food supply chain. It means that producers, consumers, scientific bodies and governmental administration have to work together to make sure that food safety is a priority in the country. But since, and this is a problem of the marketing perfections in the Chinese meat market, when you have a production system which is not concerned about food safety and quality, then inevitably the responsibility is transferred to the government. It means that there is a certain pressure on government officials that is transmitted to all those that participate in the inspection and quarantine surveillance. And in this case, you must understand that probably measures are more punitive than preventive. I mean, in most cases, the interpretation of standards in China are more strict than other countries, because there's a permanent fear that the whole food security system can break out and lead to a food crisis. Apart from that, and in the next slide, we added 3 more challenges for any company wishing to export to China. As we talk in topic 1, safety standards are still poor. I mean, there's the need to update most of the standards in China, and because this permanent fear of a fragile food security system, authorities tend to interpret standards in the more strict way. In our guidelines today, we put an example of a conflict between the United States and China for a drug used for breeding pigs. The system of measure determines if the product is free from, in this case, ractopamine, and the measure of used by China differs from the one used in the United States, so it's difficult to reach an agreement on how to determine that the products are free from this the concentration of this drug in the meat. Finally, as you as a company you intend to get your establishment approved, you have to carefully evaluate the time and the money you have to spend to get to go through these procedures. Of course, you have to compare this investment with the expected return from your sales in China. After evaluating, of course, no need to insist that getting an establishment registered requires money and requires time, which is finally money. The time for getting an establishment registered can take from 1 year in the as a minimum from unexpected time frames in case there is some non-conformity. And just some final recommendations according to what we have been saying today. First of all, be selective when choosing your partner in China. It will be your connection with the key government offices. Here we have to say that the best or the main objective for any company wishing to export to China is to find the right partner. The right partner means an importer who has all requirements and licenses fulfilled, but at the same time as somebody who is very well connected with the key government offices. It's important to remember that China is a dynamic country with laws evolving on a regular basis. In order to prevent any incident for your shipments, the contact with your importer will be basic. Routing helps once your import channel proves to be working. Stick to it. The first time you export to China, it can be some sort of nightmare. Over time, as your products are shipped more regularly and your products are getting familiar with or your import supervisors or inspectors are getting familiar with your products, then the process becomes more straightforward and less costly and with shorter times of processing. Another recommendation, that this is of course obvious, you need trained personnel, trained staff to be able to do the proper pre-shipment arrangement. All documents should be prepared and produced according to Chinese rules and standards. Keeping an exporter clean profile is the best possible for you entering China. You will see that as far as your products are, your company is getting familiar to the officials, inspectors, then inspection will be less frequent. Probably random samples will be taken in less occasions, and it means that the time frames and costs of exporting will be reduced clearly. And a final recommendation, of course, you are permanently vulnerable to unexpected changes in rules and bilateral discrepancies. There is an example we included in our guidelines, is referring to New Zealand exports of lamb. Some hundreds of millions worth lamb were stopped at the port of entry because in China, because there was a slight difference in the health certificate. There was a change in the name of the Ministry of Agriculture in New Zealand to Ministry of Primary Industries, I think. And so the health certificate, or even keeping this the shape that was agreed in the protocol, had this slight change. At that inspectors in China thought that the document was not right, so everything was, all the shipments were stopped, and it was needed delegation, a New Zealand delegation, to be sent to China to discuss the matter. What I mean with this example is that you never know where an incident is due to strict commercial or technical issues, or there are other political issues linked to the idea I expressed before, the idea of this global strategy which China is building, and you will probably find yourself helpless before these unexpected decisions. Finally, you will have, as we said in point 5, you have the bibliography with all links to relevant laws and standards, together with some useful links to the food sector websites. The information is completed with Annex 1 for more detailed information on China's meat imports. Annex 2 is for, you have an example of a protocol. You can just check the articles we have been talking right now. In Annex 3, you have an example of a sample of a health certificate together with a pre-notification. This is for Denmark. And finally, in Annex 4, you have detailed information on packaging and labeling of meat products to be exported to China. I think the time is over, so thank you for listening to this presentation. I'm ready to answer any question you would like.
Thank you very much, Jordi, for this really good presentation and for the foods of thought. Yeah, as Jordi said, unfortunately we are running out of time. What I would like to address is that for European SMEs considering to enter the Chinese market, we offer a diagnostic kit on our website, which consists of different reports and an online quiz, helping you to assess your knowledge of the Chinese business environment. So the questions you asked us, we have basically logged for today, and we will answer them in a follow-up. So everybody who is registered with its company will get an email. All the others who would like to get their questions answered should register or go through our website, ask the expert. The webinar, after it is finished, there will be a link to a survey where we would kindly like to ask you to fill it out. It will only take a couple of minutes. And yeah, I thank the audience for their patience because we have experienced a cut of the internet connection today. And I would also like to mention that the meat guideline Jordi was referring to actually is in the process of being finished, and it will be published soon on our website again. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Jordi, and
thank you.
Bye-bye to Europe and to our Chinese participants.